curate it on purpose. We talk it out, we grow through it. Take a breath, lean into it. Let's live life.
Hey, it's your girl Candy J, and welcome back to Curate It On Purpose, the podcast where intention meets authenticity. This is a space for real conversation about mindset, growth, faith, money, and the moves we make on purpose. Please don't forget to follow and subscribe on Spotify and on our YouTube channel. We want to be able to reach up more listeners. And all right, so today's episode is about love. February is around the corner. And what better time to talk about love and how to love a human? We are also going to dive into mental health, Black stigma in African American homes, and what it truly looks like to show up for one another with compassion and understanding. So get comfortable and lean in, and let's have a real conversation. Today's guest is Talana Young. Hey, Talana, how are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing well. All right. So today's guest is Talana Young. I honestly can't remember how we crossed paths, but I'm glad that we did. We had an instant connection, and we're going to have plenty to talk about. Talana Young is a licensed professional clinical counselor supervisor, business owner, behavioral health consultant on a mission to transform how we talk about mental health, culture, and healing. As the founder of TP Counseling LLC, she provides clinical supervision, behavioral health consulting, and program development for agencies working across communities in mental health, substance use treatment, trauma, and serious mental illness. Her expertise and authenticity are matched only by her radiant smile and impeccable style. She is a fashionista in her own right. Beyond clinical spaces, Talana is a creator and host of Unapologetic Tea, a podcast where candid, real conversations happen at the intersection of mental health, culture, identity, and lived experience. She has collaborated with Getty Images on cultural relevant storytelling and served on boards including Unashamed Kentucky and Police Mental Health Coalitions, advocating fiercely for recovery-oriented systems for care and reduce stigma. As a speaker, Talana blends with clinical brilliance and with cultural awareness and real-world insight, leaving audiences informed, challenged, and inspired. Her work is grounded in belief that healing is both personal and collective, led by love and access, and that access, justice, and the representation matters. Guys, I cannot believe that we're already on episode 4. Wow. I am really enjoying learning new things and discovering different point of views. Talana, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I've been having a good day. It's been a busy day. I'm glad to be here. So,
Yes. Yes. I am so happy you accepted the invitation to be my guest. You are officially my podcast sister, and I cannot wait to be a guest on your show as well.
Yes.
But,
Can't
be-
wait to have you.
but before we get into all the things, I want to give you an opportunity to share what you have going on and how we can support you.
Yeah, so right now I'm going hard in TP counseling right now, I just recently developed a TRP curriculum to help agencies, community mental health agencies, IOP centers, and current TRP centers work out their curriculum. So what I did is I took the curriculum needed by Medicaid
I'm sorry, Talana, I want to stop you for just a second. For those that are not in mental health and don't understand those words,
Oh yes, I'm
see,
sorry.
that's okay. Just I was like, oh, I think
I know, and I'm bad at that.
I
And
know
that's
what
why.
IOP is because I do work in healthcare.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So what I do is I work in in mental health at as a consultant. So I work with IOP with this intensive outpatient, and TRP with its therapeutic rehabilitation programs that help people who have severe mental illness
Okay.
that affect their everyday life skills. So this curriculum, Honda is users. It has a user guide in it, therapist script in it, and client worksheets that assist clients and clinicians in being able to run groups so that they can successfully rehabilitate their clients. Um, so that's what I've been publishing. I'm working on publishing right now. I currently do a lot of public speaking, and of course, as you mentioned, my podcast, Unapologetic Tea.
Okay, okay. All right. Well, we again are glad to have you. I'm glad to have you. I'm excited. And so we're just gonna just jump right on into it, okay? So, let's see. The first one I would like to pick would be the version of you 10 years ago. Okay, let me start over because I want to make sure so you're in your perspective. The version of me from 10 years ago would be shocked that
How old am I? Okay. The
Mhm.
version of me 10 years ago would be shocked that, actually, about all of it.
Wow.
By all of it. The version of me 10 years ago would be shocked that I opened a center, that I started a business, that I made it on my own. The version of me 10 years ago had faith but was really, really unsure.
Okay. Okay, okay. Wow, that's good. Hmm. I want to answer that question myself because I think this is good too. The version of me 10 years ago would be shocked
Mm-hmm.
that I would be talking to you on this camera. I love to talk one on one, but not in front of a camera. It would be shocked that I have completed task. It's such a blessing to be able to complete things instead of say you're going to do it, but just, really walk in silence and get it done. So the version of me 10 years ago, yeah, we good there. We don't have to be her. But definitely I am excited just to be able to reflect 10 years ago and say, oh, girl, you was lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember praying and asking the Lord, help me find my purpose. I don't know. I just really didn't know, I mean, what to do. And I feel like sometimes we work harder for other people than we work for ourselves.
Yeah, I
So,
always say, it's accidentally in purpose, right? Like I had no intention.
hello?
You can
you,
hear
you
me?
pause. You pause. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I always say it's accidentally in purpose
Mm.
because everything that I ended up doing was never by my training. Like, yes, I went to school to be a therapist, but my goal was to work in the police department and FBI
Oh,
as a hostage negotiator. Um, and everything that's came about my way has all been accidental, but when it's come accidentally, it's been my purpose. It's been the exact things that I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to work with clients. I knew I wanted to be, in mental health eventually, but not in this aspect. So, accidentally in my purpose.
wow. And so, I cannot remember how I stumbled upon Curated, but Curated just stuck with me, and it's always that. And so, just in case anybody's wondering, because I really haven't introduced what Curated is. So, to be curated means to be carefully selected, organized, and presented by an expert or someone with a specific vision, often particular themes, purpose, or audience, going beyond simply gathering to add value through thoughtful arrangements. So, curated, um, curated. I changed my name, so that's why I'll be messing up. So, the curated on purpose was curated conversations, but it was oversaturated. So we had to go ahead and switch it on up because if you search it, there's a lot of them.
Mm,
And I didn't realize that, but hey, sometimes we got to switch it up. And I guess what? It was on purpose. So,
well,
so we're gonna go with it. So, the next question, or the next finish the sentence is that would be hilarious. If my mind had a theme song, what would it be?
Are you struggling and needing a reset but don't know where to start? Girl, Let's Pray by Candace R. Jackson is for those moments when life gets loud, your mind feels tired, and you don't even know what to pray anymore. This devotional keeps it simple. No fancy words, no pressure, just real talk and real prayers with Jesus. Get your copy today. Available now on Amazon.
Ooh, if my mind had a theme song. Ooh, I don't. Okay, I need a minute. um, if my mind had a theme song. I'm trying to think of a song that's everywhere all the time. Like that's the kind of theme it would be. It would be some form of always on the move.
Wow.
And I just, this is really, really cliche, but really it's just like, take me through there, take me through there.
Listen. We can be taken through there if that's what we got to do.
Because I'm just like, I'm going to try it all,
That part.
So it's always, it's definitely some form of a song that is going to have multiple avenues. Like,
Okay.
I don't know, a build up.
I build up. Okay. I would say, I don't know if this would be like, this would be my theme song right now.
Hmm.
Um, what is that song? Well, there's a song on TikTok. Shout out TikTok. That is made by AI. Yes, shout out AI. And it says God don't play about me. And so God don't play about me. And so I think that just saying that, just that part of it would be, I know that God doesn't play about me. I am very comfortable in the shoes that I am in now. And I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And he don't play about me. He had to straighten me out, but guess what? He don't play about me. And so I'm not going to let other people play with me. I'm going to make sure for certain that, hey, I am who I am. You really honestly, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
So God don't play about me. I don't play about him. He loved me real bad. I love him real bad. All right. So that is what I think the song would be. I don't even know the name of that song, but AI has so many little songs on TikTok. It's amazing. We're not gonna have real artists soon, but it's all good. Um, and so yeah, that one. So we'll stop from there. So now we're gonna get into the good stuff.
Okay.
First, we're gonna start off about stigmas in the black home, and I'm gonna ask you to finish a sentence for me.
Okay.
The first time I realized something wasn't okay mentally was
As far as like in a black household.
in a black household, or just in general. It doesn't have to be you personally. Just when you realize that, yeah, something wasn't okay in the black household. Yes. Or
Okay,
even from your experience, however you want to, whatever take you want to take on that.
so I'm gonna take it back to my childhood. I grew up in Yonkers, New York, and I grew up in the projects, Slowbound Projects. Shout out to Schroeder Street. Um, and when I realized that mental health was just something I needed to pay attention to, I didn't know what it was called then. I didn't have a name for it. But seeing my friends in jail, shot, killed, going through the things that they were going through, and then them showing up the next day like nothing was happening, was like, this can't be right, because I was feeling what I knew I was feeling, but nobody was showing what I was feeling, right? So it was just like, am I
Right.
the abnormal one? Am I the one that is just reacting and being like sensitive about this stuff? And the reality is they just were desensitized, right? And that was a space for me to kind of learn about mental health on my own, because I was seeing my friends go to jail, come back, act like nothing was happening, seeing my friends, get killed, having funerals, and it was all over. It was back like nothing ever happened. And what I started to notice is that, like, at first I thought these people don't care, these people are ruthless, but what I really learned is that they are desensitized. They see it so much that it while it is a big deal, they've learned to manage, right? And it doesn't look like we think it should look like all the time. And sometimes in the black household, we just talk, suck it up. That's life right now.
Wow. Because I think that in what you just said is amazing, because I don't know if we really knew that we were really poor. we just lived, we played, we had a good time. We just learned how to live in dysfunction.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, um, I said this before, but when you think about growing up in a black household, mental health for me, not necessarily my house, but what around in the community, it felt like if mental health meant crazy.
Mhm.
Mental health is not something you talk about, you pray, and you move on. Mental health was not a thing. And so I didn't actually understand or know what mental health was until I moved out of the house and moved on campus. Um, and mental health can come out in different ways. It can be um, sleeping, eating,
Mhm.
not talking, withdrawing. There's just so many ways. And, I think that it wasn't intentional, but I think that it comes back from generation to generation. When you think back to even slavery, um, everything was hush and be quiet and a secret. So if we hush and we be quiet and secret, then all that can really happen is you're bottling all up inside, right? And so then we have this thing to where we decide, okay, well, if I talk about it, then they're probably going to say, oh, you don't have issues, you don't have any problems. And so then it's to the point where you just bundle it all up. You're dealing and battling, and because mental health is new. Mental health is like help, counseling. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's new to the black community. It's pretty new. People been doing it for a while, but it's to the point where if they were talking about it, were they talking about it out loud?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's new. It's newly publicized. It's newly announced. It's newly normalized, right? It's new to be able to say, "Girl, I'm going to see my therapist because y'all got me stressed out." Right? Before you did that, they'll you're crazy. You need to be in a hospital, or you're abnormal. And really, seeking therapy isn't always about being abnormal. Some people come to therapy just to have maintenance, just to keep they cool. Others come because they've lost it. They need some help, supports in learning new coping skills. But yeah, we're just now on this mental health kind of kick where people are, talking about it more. It's normalized now. It doesn't mean what it used to mean, and so the new language has allowed us to be able to talk openly about it as we're doing right now, and not thinking that somebody's crazy because they decided to see a therapist.
I think it goes into self care. Like
It is
I think
absolutely.
I think that from the 2020, that self care, it was like almost like a self care movement. And so yeah, I think that's really people were okay because all, I'll say myself, I did not know how to function in 2020. Okay, so you're telling me that I'm a talker, I can't hug, I can't be with anyone, I have to be in my house with these people that I'm only here with for 4 to 5 hours a day, besides sleeping and function. So yeah, so self care is important. However, thinking about mental health, if you didn't know you had it, you figured it out.
Yeah.
Get tapped on
Or
in.
somebody, hopefully you had a loved one to say, hey, you might want to go talk to somebody about that in a better way. But yeah.
Right. No, no, it was more of the because again, um, you just deal with it. You just figure it out. You don't really tell nobody your business. Why would you tell somebody your business? Because then you're crazy. Then they're being nosy. Then something bad's gonna happen. But that's not. That is. I mean, that is so bad. It's so bad to have in the household. And I'll tell you what. Everybody except for my son, and he's getting one. Don't worry. Has, has a therapist. I think everybody should have a therapist. Mine's on speed dial.
I have a
So,
therapist and I
and
love
my
it.
husband has a therapist. Yeah, and we all have therapists. But guess what? I think it makes it easier even for my 17-year-old to be okay with therapy. Because guess what? Mama got a therapist, daddy got a therapist. So then it's just normalizing.
Yeah, and then also just reframing the idea that you therapy is no different than your physical health, right? You have to take care of all of your healths just the same. You have to check in mentally, you have to check in physically, you have to do those things to keep yourself afloat. It's not about craziness or anything like that. If you had diabetes, you would go see about it. If you had symptoms of other health issues, you would go see about it. So there's nothing wrong, even just to have a quick check-in with your mental health therapist, just to make sure, you're doing the things that you need to do, or just to have an outlet if you don't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah, that like non-judgmental space.
Neutral space,
Neu-
yeah.
Neutral, because they're probably judging you, but guess what? They're not going to tell you they're judging you. But just keep your face straight, and don't let your face tell me what you're saying or thinking, and just agree, or give me some strategies. Give me some tech. What do they call them?
Coping skills.
Coping skills. How to, yeah, that's all it is. Coping skills. Because I honestly don't think they really tell you what to do anyway. They just tell you how to cope and how to maneuver. Now, and if it's something crazy, I'm sure some examples of things you can do differently. But most
Yeah.
of the time, it's okay. Let's cope. Let's see how we're going to do this. Okay, how are we going to make sure that we maintain or get rest or whatever it is? And what you were saying about, like, if you're not feeling well physically, or something's going on, you're going to go to the doctor about it. If our mind takes care of all the things, meaning our body, how you feel, our mind is so powerful. You hear me? When I say powerful, I'm talking about you can trick your mind to say you're sick.
Yep.
You can trick your mind to say you're pregnant.
Hmm.
You can trick your mind to say you're tired. Like, and so we have to reprogram our minds and our mindsets to say, okay, no. So why wouldn't we want to make sure, if it's on our head and it guides everything else, why wouldn't we take care of it?
Right. Right.
I just
Yeah.
wonder, where life would have been if I had a therapist at 18. And parents, if you are listening, listen up. Recommend to your children, if they don't have therapists, when they leave your home at 18, maybe they're not ready. I know, I understand, because 18-year-olds know everything. But make sure to encourage them, because of the transitions that they're going to have, self identity, trying to figure out which way to go, how to even like balance school and just being a kid or being a young adult. Encourage them to have a therapist. I think everybody should have a therapist at 18. I really do. If they didn't have one already, I think it's important, because guess what? We're going to leave those households. Some of them toxic, some of them not. A lot of them dysfunctional. And what we see and what we've learned, we think it's normal. It's
Until you
amazing
let out the gate.
until
I
you let
always say
it
I didn't
out.
know. Yeah, I didn't know half of what I was gonna be doing or what I was experiencing until I left the projects. When I
Mm-hmm.
left them, it was a whole new world. I was truly amazed at all things that I did not know, and
It's
that's
crazy.
adjustment. That's adjustment. That is something that we all gonna have to go through, whether our homes are toxic or not.
Mm-hmm.
Adjustment is just phases of life that we have to adjust to, and if it's something that you're not sure how to do, then sometimes it is necessary to get some support through therapy.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. And so the next one, I think, let me see. Okay, so the next sentence to finish would be, a feeling I learned early to hide was.
Ooh, disappointment. Yeah, I learned to hide disappointment really early because I felt like it was only hurting me. And the person that, or the people that, or the things that were disappointing me didn't really care. So I was spending all this energy being disappointed, being upset, trying to, you know, get back to my normality, my baseline. And I couldn't because I was allowing disappointment to show up. So I taught myself, unfortunately, right? I'm not saying this is healthy. That's my disclaimer, not healthy. But I taught myself not to show disappointment, not to care essentially about when people let me down. But what I did teach myself, and what naturally sometimes comes when you experience that, is high hyper independence, right?
Mhm.
I'll do it myself.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. I'm not depending on you. And so that's helped me, but it's also, hurt in a lot of ways. And I had to seek my, like I said, I see a therapist, and
Hmm.
that's why, right? Because that hyper independence, wow, now I have a business, now I write curriculums, now I do these things. It taught me not to depend, right? But that was for those people then. And what, therapy does is teach you that that was for then and it was useful and it was a survival skill for then. But now it's not needed. And the people in my life right now didn't do those things to disappoint me. So I don't need that skill.
Wow. 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 When I think about that, I mean, after you said disappointment can be something so simple like um, your family member or auntie or cousin, somebody saying, "Hey, on Friday, I'm gonna come and get you. Be ready at 5. Have your stuff ready."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as a child, and you're
Mm-hmm.
sitting there and you're waiting patiently, maybe take a nap a little bit, just trying to make it
Kill
happen. Like,
time.
okay, let's
Yeah.
do this time and let's go ahead and she's coming. She's coming to get me.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Mm-hmm.
coming to get me, and then they don't show up, then you're lost. And so that disappointment is really,
Yeah. It holds
whew,
on.
really,
It
it
holds
really
tight.
does. And so, yeah, I think that disappointment can turn into independence, but not necessarily healthy because I think it can help cause stubbornness.
Mm-hmm.
I
Hyper
might, I
independence
might,
is not
I might be
healthy.
talking to myself. What'd you say?
I say, yeah, hyper independence, right? Especially when you have people who have the tools and who aren't letting you down, right?
Hmm.
It can be a little bit stubborn.
Yep, yep, yep. I think that is, that's it right. That one right there is really, really, really good. And so I think that is a wonderful thing. 1 second. All right, thank you. So,
I
um,
just had the craziest
you
coughing
okay?
spell.
You
Sorry.
good? I know. I was giving you your moment. We can always, hey, cut. All right. So it's all good. But anyway, so the next topic, we're gonna, we're really just going, just flowing with whatever happens and whatever wherever we end up. Um, the next one, which I don't know much about, but I'm pretty sure I do because you learn some things when you went with all these politics that I don't like to talk about. You learn a little bit more about it, and if you didn't know, you get educated about what it really is
Right.
and what it really means. So the
Right.
next topic is going to be DEI and advocacy.
Okay.
Um, your first, we'll do two of these. Let's see. What is the most misunderstood part of I'm sorry, the most misunderstood part of DEI is.
Of what DEI is,
Yeah, so what's the most misunderstood part of it?
that it's a black and white thing.
Wow.
It's not only about race. It's
Do
about
tell, do
equity
tell.
across the board, right? We're not just talking about black and white. We're talking about people of color. We're talking about people, able-bodied people. We're talking about people who use wheelchairs. We're talking about equity for all the people in the world, not just people of color. We're looking at making sure that people have the same access, that people have the same rights, that people have the ability to do all the things that we've create. This world was created for able-bodied peoples. The things that we do, specifically in America, was created for able-bodied people. So when we have DEI says, okay, yeah, we have able bodied people who can do these things with no problem, but we also have people who have mental health conditions, who use a wheelchair, who don't have their limbs or extremities, who have health conditions that prevent them from doing the things that able bodied people can do on a regular. And so DEI isn't just about race, it's about everyone equally. Well, equity.
Oh, so basically what you're saying is it's more about being equal across the board, whether like you said, it's not just about um, black and white, but more of ability as well.
Yeah, and not even equal. I'm specific in saying equity because I can be equal. We all have access to public education, right? That's
Hmm.
equal. But if
Right.
I have ADHD, how I learn, or if I'm neurodivergent, how I learn looks different than somebody who is neurotypical. Neurodivergent is someone who learns differently, experiences life differently because of how their brain is wired. And neurotypical is someone who operates in a more normal range, or what America would consider a normal range of operation. But if we're all given public education and if we're all given all those things, but each of us operate differently, then that's equal, but it's not equitable.
Yeah, and it could be disadvantage. Very much so a disadvantage, I think, because
Yeah.
when I think about equal, well, no, not equal. When I think about the disadvantage of even with ADHD, there are so many disadvantages because I couldn't understand as hard as I tried, like why because I didn't know I had ADHD. I'd heard about it a little bit in about third grade. Counselor was like, "Hey, you might want to get her tested," but again, we go back to the mental health in the black household. We're not gonna turn her into a zombie. We're not gonna do that. She's gonna need a little whooping, spanking, get that tail. You get
Yeah.
in that classroom and you sit up and you do what you can. But if you're squirrel, then where are we going? So,
Yep.
so
Yep.
basically, I think that the disadvantage is that if you're not taught coping skills
Hmm.
and how to navigate, it's very difficult. It's a daily struggle on so many levels.
But
So,
see, I think that is very child specific. I don't think it should always be about the child, because
mhm,
if you're going to teach in a school with
mhm,
children you aren't, I guess, testing to come into school and seeing what their brain activity is like, then you should learn how to teach neurodivergent children, right? Yes, you learn the coping skills, but the teachers also need to be skilled to work with those neurodivergent children. If I have all these kids in a room, we can't assume they're all neurotypical.
mhm,
We can't assume that they all learn the same way, and that's how children get left behind. And they're not left behind because they couldn't learn, they're left behind because of how they learn.
mhm. Yeah, because even with us just having this conversation, what I find is sometimes I have to stop, listen, then take in what you say, then speak because it's just going to process differently.
That's your processing, and that's your
So,
processing style, right? And
mhm,
as a child in the classroom trying to do that, if a teacher's moving right along, you don't have a space to catch up. You don't have a space to ask a question because she's already on the next topic. And now that you've processed, you're like, hold on, wait, I got something I need to ask about. But you can't,
mhm,
because now you're slowing the neurotypical kids down because they got it on the first try.
mhm. That's really good. That's really good. So parents, advocate for your children.
Yep.
Advocate, and if they need help, need therapy, need occupational therapy, need anything, speech therapy, whatever it is, advocate, because sometimes they can't they have to be taught to advocate for themselves. But then also what I'm finding is that if you don't because you have to advocate because their brains are still growing. They don't know what all this is. So now you got your brain growing, your body's growing, your hormones is growing, everything is growing. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have all these things going on, you sometimes just can't put a finger on it.
Yeah, yeah. And I
So
mean, I don't always think it's right. We put them in school to help identify, right? We get them in the supports that they need. And like you said, parents definitely have to show up when they notice things with their children. But also, if you're spending 8 hours a day with my child, right, the advocacy sometimes has to come from you as well, because I may not see when I get home at night, right? I work 12 hours every day, three different jobs, right? Three different functions. By the time I get home, I'm cooking dinner, my children are going to bed, and we up for school the next day. I don't always see the symptoms, right?
mhm,
But in schools, especially where I live, where, they're primary PWIs, right?
mhm, yes.
And they are, my children are usually the only one in the room, and if not the only, they're one of the few. And
Mm.
they are seen as, not listening, don't want to do what they have to do, and I advocate for my children. That's not always the case. Sometimes it is the lack of education of the educator.
Wow. So then it's training. Then it goes down to training. So I have to tell you this story because I think it's important to be told. So I met a I met a lady, crossed paths with a lady. We had a conversation about inclusion and things of that nature. And this is a black and white, unfortunately. But what I will say is I was floored. And this is not from like 1994. We're talking about last year in
Mm-hmm.
Lexington. Yes, in Lexington.
Mm-hmm.
Um, During Black History Month, um, the class was split based on race. So the way that the mom found out about it was the daughter had come home and said, "I didn't get to sit by Libby today." And I was really upset about it. And so she was like, "Why? Well, why?" And she was like, "Oh, well, because we were learning about, let's just say, Martin Luther King, and we were at a separate table, and so we sat together, and then they were learning a totally different lesson. Where are we? What are we doing?
Right.
It should not be a thing. Of course,
Yeah.
it was. Of course, it was. I'm sure a conversation was had, but I just feel like it should have went further because I feel like that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, we're not rehashing this thing out,
We're,
right? We
we're
can
not.
educate them
We're
about it, but we ain't got to
not.
rehash it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because guess what? Black history is just as important as white history, as Asian, Indian, any race, any ethnicity. It's all important. It's all important. So I think it's just crazy that in this day and age that this would still be happening. So
I mean, and I think that also, that's not all of our history. Like,
mm-mm.
yes, 400 years, but we
Yeah,
were here before that. We were
yeah,
kings, we were queens, we were inventors. You know, it doesn't always have to be about the. I mean, yes, teach them
mm,
about that, but that
yes.
is not the end or the beginning of our story. It's just part of it.
Okay, yes, because yeah, that is very important to say. Um, I had watched, and again, not even really to talk about slavery because that's crazy, but talking about slavery, and I was watching 12 Year Slave.
12 years a slave, yeah.
Yep, yep, yep. I watched that. I watched it before, but I think I watched it with different eyes the second time, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow. I didn't even remember half of the beginning of it, but how he was so successful and how he was, taking care of his family and his wife was traveling and then to be taken back. So yeah, we're not going back. We're not doing that. We're moving right along. So with DEI and advocacy, I think I'm missing something. So I want to ask, um, what does it really look like? So when you say DEI and advocacy, what do you do with that?
Well, I mean, there's a ton of things you can do with it. So it just give me an avenue. Like for DEI, for me, it looks like educating people on cultural differences, understanding that you know how Black people operate, how people of color in general operate, how people who have how able-bodied people are privileged, how we all come from different backgrounds, and what might mean something to you does not mean something to the other person. I learned
Wow.
in training, right? We all grow up with different perspectives. We in DEI is so multi-dimensional that it's so hard to pick just one thing to talk about. But
Hmm.
I remember being in a training, and I was with a person who was from who was from a Middle Eastern descent, and they were telling me that like scratching your like I was doing a hand movement with my throat that I'm not going to do again because now that I know it's
Right.
offensive, but it means a cuss word in their culture. So I had learned that in one of my DEI trainings, and it kind of opened my eyes to want to be a person. I'm gonna wipe my nose really quick. Hold on.
Okay.
It kind of reminded me of like how important it is to just understand that we all come from different places, different times. We all have different lenses. You know, um, there were a couple examples that I usually bring up, but just like being in a Black home, dancing is a part of our culture. That's literally coming from Africa, right? Being in a traditional we're naturally loud as Black people, right? As women, we show up just differently as Black women, right? That doesn't mean I'm angry, it doesn't mean I'm mad. Sometimes I just show up like that, right? And understanding just little things like that, understanding that people who are from Middle Eastern prefer conservative spaces, right? They don't always appreciate being the person, especially women, being the spotlight, right? Just understanding just the different avenues that we all come from and how that affects how we show up in the world, and how do we meet those people where they are so that they can experience life the best that they can, right? So DEI is just showing up for those people who aren't us and not catering the world to the person, just me, right? I want to make sure that you get to experience this podcast, right? Your ability to be able to add captions to this podcast helps a person who is hard of hearing experience this podcast. Your ability to have a visual on this podcast helps a person who is hard of hearing to be able to experience this podcast, right? So it's just having that accessibility, the ability to allow others to experience the world too, not just by from a privileged lens, right? And a privileged, why can't I speak? A privileged lens is usually of white descent, usually male, right? And have some sort of power. Those people always get the best end of the stick. So, yeah.
Okay, okay. I would, I'd like to chime in and say that I didn't really realize it then, but as you were talking, it it
Mm-hmm.
um it hit me that the even with talking about the privilege or even just not knowing the differences, because people come from different worlds, different, they're
Yeah.
raised differently, they have different financial situations.
Mm-hmm.
Some are upper, middle, lower,
Mm-hmm.
poor, don't even know they're poor.
Yeah.
So that transition alone is crazy. So
Yeah.
when I was in college, I remember it was my first year. Um, and was it my first year? No, maybe it was my second year.
Mm-hmm.
One of them years. Anyways. So I was in college. As I'm in college, I'm in my room. I'm just, just chilling, just watching TV or whatever, listening to music.
Mm-hmm.
And I see kids running up and down the hall.
Mm-hmm.
And they're having the best time of their life, and I couldn't understand. But because they were so sheltered, because of the privilege, because of the money, and because they had 45 activities to do in the week, they didn't know how to function as regular people. Even just differences of of course I knew how to do my laundry. Yes, I knew how to do my laundry. I remember teaching people how to do laundry.
Mm-hmm.
But then they were teaching me things like, what is and I don't even know what that thing is called. What is that? Um, when well, everybody uses them now, but at back then, it was a Caucasian girl and she was in the bathroom and she was doing her hair.
Mm-hmm.
And she has, it looks like a speaker and it has like holes, like not holes, sticks out of it. So basically, you
Like
take
a
your head and you
sponge.
tip it. No, no, no. You take you have your hair's wet.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you put some mousse in it or some type of hairspray or whatever you want to use, gel, and then you like tilt your
Oh, like that?
and you no, and they go like this because they're putting they're tilting their heads to the side and they're making their hair curl.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that kind of thing was not normal for me to see. And I'm like, what? This is different. What is this we're doing? And then even just different conversations, just trying to get to know people.
Mm-hmm.
And then reinventing yourself and trying to, okay, high school's over. Let's figure out Candace. Okay, Candace is whoever Candace says she is and who she wants to be and start over, right? And I remember talking to a girl that her dad was the one of the executive producers of the George Lopez show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so when she, that entitlement, she partied a lot. Now she didn't get the balance of, okay, let's party and do homework. She just partied. But the 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 thing that it caused was if she didn't do well, it was, honey, just go shopping. It'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Versus what we're going to do to make this different, or how can we make sure that this doesn't happen again. And so it's all about, I think that's almost like entitlement because we already know we have money. you're just getting your education, just go relax and have you some self time, me time, and you know, just make it work. But it could be even something so small as it was so embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed. We were on campus, and a girl was showing me her jewelry, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cute, you know, showing different things. And she goes, oh, you like my bracelet? And I was like, yeah, it's cute. You like my ring? And I'm like, mm-hmm. It's from Tiffany's. And I said, who's Tiffany? I don't know her. Baby, I don't know who Tiffany is. Where she come from? Like, why did she
Right?
give you jewelry? And so I sounded really crazy. But I
Yeah.
didn't know Tiffany. I knew Walmart. I knew Wally
Yeah.
World. I knew Kmart, Goodies. I knew it all. But
Yeah.
but but to come through and say Tiffany, like she expected me to just already know. But then it can come back to those differences.
Yeah, but that was her like she had that privilege, right?
Yeah.
That was
Mhm.
her being able to she experienced life in a different way, right?
Mhm.
She had the socioeconomic privilege. She had the privilege of I thought I heard you say her race was white.
Yes.
Um and so yeah. But when we think about DEI, we think about the accessibility to those things, right? In order to be able to afford a Tiffany bracelet at her age, it sounded like you all were in high school, right? I would
We
imagine her
were
parents had some,
freshmen in college. Yep.
oh, freshman in college, right? No job, nothing, failing
Nothing.
classes, right? There's privilege in that, and that privilege comes from a long line of things, right? Mommy and daddy had the money to let me do these things. Mommy and daddy probably had access to get the jobs that they had or started a business, had access. So that's where DEI shows up in that.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, who knew that you could pay to take your ACT, your SAT, and take a cram course for like a week or 2 or 3 days? Who knew? I never heard of
People
anything
who
like
have
that.
access, people who have
What?
access.
Yeah. Who knew that was an option? Like, that's a thing, but it definitely is a thing that we may not have known then, and again, it's just lack of knowledge and just not knowing. But definitely, when you find out, you're like, oh, okay, that's not going to happen again. That's just not going to
Yeah.
happen. Because you know another avenue. Okay, so moving on, we've got all educational and things like that. But now we're going to talk about that L word, LOVE, love. How to love a human. Um, well, the first finish the line I would say would be one thing. Well, your finish the line is one thing people get wrong about love is.
Oh, it has limits.
Mm,
Yeah, I think love is indefinite and it's an action, right? So I always say that people think love has limits because sometimes the people they love hurt them, and when they hurt them, they think that they cut them off, and that's where the love ends.
wow.
No, you still love them.
Hmm.
You may have had to set a boundary. You may have had to remove them from your immediate everyday life, but that love goes nowhere, right? And you can't even if you think you hate them, you couldn't have even done that without first loving them, right? That access to your love is because of that. So I think that the misconception is that it has limits.
Hmm. It's a good way. It's a good way to think about it because love really is. It shouldn't be conditional, but sometimes it is conditional.
Hmm.
Um, love doesn't mean happiness, and I think that's where I think people mess it up.
Hmm.
Because you can't. Another individual shouldn't make you shouldn't change or dictate how you feel or how it's gonna go
Excuse
based
me.
on, huh?
Nothing. Go
Oh,
ahead.
but yeah, based on how their behavior.
Hmm.
You have to make your own happiness. You got to see what gives you joy and what sparks you joy.
Hmm.
So when you were talking about when you were telling me about the topic of how to love a human, like what is your play on that? Like this is not even on the sentence, but like what do you really mean on how to love a human?
So first, I want to shout out Dr. Hargons because that was her podcast name was How to Love a Human. and she is a psychologist. I think she's now based in Atlanta, but she studies how to love a human, sex, and a lot of other great topics. Um, but my take on it is, how we love humans is a variable, right? We think how we do that is very different based on who it is we're loving, right? But how you love a human is dependent on that human. It's really dependent. How I love my man versus how I love my children versus how I
Mhm.
love my pastor versus how I love my mom. Those all look different, but it doesn't change that I love them.
Very much so. Wow, that's big. That could be a big deep dive. Like
Hmm.
how to love, yeah. Because and then yeah, everybody's love is the way you love your daughter may be different from the way you love your son.
Hmm. It
Um,
is going to be different.
because they need different things. They're not the same.
Hmm.
So then that's basically what you're saying is that even in a relationship, meaning dating or marriage or
Hmm.
friendship, it's just a totally different love. I love my friends.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll do a lot of things for my friends, but I don't know if I'm gonna go to the end of the earth for you.
yeah. And
But
it
them
doesn't change that I don't love you.
it
It just
doesn't
means
that
there's
doesn't
some
mean I don't
boundaries
love
that I
you.
have set in our love. Yes.
Right. I may keep our conversation surface level,
Right.
but
And
it
I may
doesn't mean
check
I don't
in.
love you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I may check in on you while you out there, but I ain't
Yeah.
going.
But yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
preserve my
love
energy.
still has. Yeah, love
Mhm.
still has a little bit of boundaries,
Yeah.
and those boundaries are just to keep you protected.
Right. Exactly. Let me see. So, loving a human requires.
Loving a human requires consistency.
Wow. And patience.
Hmm. Yeah, consistency, patience requires the ability to forgive, the ability to um, first love self. Right? I can't love you if I don't love me.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, that's that self-discovery part of it. Because if you
Hmm.
don't love yourself, or if you don't know, or if you come from a broken place, you may be thinking that you're loving right, but you're loving all the way wrong.
Hmm.
All the way wrong. Like when I'm talking about like a part of that love may be, oh well, I seen, and I'll give you an example. Shout out to my mama and my daddy. Hey mama, hey daddy.
Hey,
Um,
mama. Hey, daddy.
growing up, I saw my mom. She always served my father his plate.
Hmm.
Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I did that when I first got married. I did that because that's what I saw. That's what I thought love looked like. That was one part of my one love language, I guess, to serve by giving his plate. But then, even through time, sometimes you grow, you change, and it's not always the same. Sometimes it's not, really, I think it comes down to reciprocity. You've got to do for one another because if not, I think that stagnation can happen, complacency. Um, but then just because I don't fix your plate doesn't mean I don't love you. So it's just all
Yeah,
about
that
it
plate topic is sensitive for people.
is.
I stay out of that because that don't got
Uh,
yeah.
it just depends. It just depends on where you are. You're right because for a long time, I would go to my family members' house and I would fix my husband's plate or attempt to fix my husband's plate. And I was told, and I didn't understand at the time, he can fix his own plate.
Hmm.
And I was like, what? No, he
Hmm.
can fix his own. No, he can't fix his own plate. I have to fix his plate because I'm his
Hmm.
wife. But really, he can fix his own plate.
He's very able-bodied. He
Very
is
much so. He
very
can fix his own
able-bodied.
plate. He can take care
Yes.
of himself. And if he's not hungry, he won't eat, right? So he can fix his own plate. Um, because guess what? That may be a task that I had something else I needed to do. So guess what? That was a boundary that I had to set. Why?
Hmm.
Because it wasn't healthy for me. It didn't work for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Now, do I fix his plate sometimes? Yeah.
When I feel like it,
When I
because
feel
my
like
love is not conditional on if I make your plate that
no,
night.
right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, Some people make that as into, I know you don't want to dive in, we don't have to, but fixing a plate into respect. That is not the same. We are not the same. No. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can fix my plate too. Guess
Yeah.
what? Because everyone in every type of relationship, whether it's a marriage, a friendship, we all, whether we say it or not, we want something back.
Yeah.
We do.
Reciprocity is a big thing,
It
right? We
is.
love not only because we love, but we want to be loved too.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So, yeah. So, yeah, it's crazy because then I start to think about love languages. And I've never read the book,
Yeah.
never read it, never desired to, but I have taken the test.
What's your
Um,
love language?
my love language is acts of service,
Okay.
meaning I want you to serve me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to feel important. So that may be, it can be something simple as back in the day when we were younger, no children, it was I come home and I smell pine salt when I walk through the door. Hey, that's an act of service, and I'm happy. And I'm happy.
Yeah.
And not only that, or just even now, it could be something simple as my husband will walk in the door and bring me a Coke and one of my favorite snacks or something. It's something so little. Yet it's so big because it was thoughtful. You thought about me in a way. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
more about you thought about me, and so that acts of service for me is big. So I found that a lot of times, um, we would butt heads, and I couldn't figure out why. And then one day, I don't know where I was or how I even decided to. I started looking at love languages and taking that love language test. Talana was life changing.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
It's
Because I
not the
can.
arguments because I can understand you a little better on where you are, and I think it's important even now. It's probably time now to take the love language test more than one time, if it's once a year, 6 months, whatever you think, because I think that even not, and it's not always about relationships and meaning girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever
Mhm.
your decision is. It's more about what you're needing from that other person and what they're needing from you.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
so shout out to my husband Drew. But his top is physical touch,
Yeah. Yeah.
and my top is acts of service. So we have physical touch, we have acts of service. Well, physical touch will happen if you do acts of service.
Mhm.
But that's not really how that works. You got to find a happy
A
medium.
medium.
Yeah, and see, okay, oh, I get why he acts that way. Oh, and you kind of tap in a little better of, oh, I understand a little more. So I mean, it's phenomenal because my my top was his bottom. Make that make sense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. See, and I'm very much so affirmations and acts of
Hmm.
service.
Yeah. Now
I'm with
tell me you
props.
appreciate me a little bit, please. Thank you.
Yeah, like tell me that dress was nice. Tell me
Yeah.
you happy
I'm
I
killing
washed your
it.
clothes. You
Hmm.
know, tell me you see me and I did a good job.
Yeah. All the
You know.
things. But everybody deserves that. I think that's just important anyways. But yeah, yeah, tell me. Oh, did you see my earrings? Did you like my earrings when you seen them? Um or whatever the case may be. So I think it's very important in any relationship because I did notice there are like teen ones now and children ones where they can kind of take those tests, and I think it's important because I think it lowers the conflict and the disagreements because
Yeah.
you may take time to step back and say, I wonder why. So I'm gonna be very transparent right now by saying, because it's a podcast, this is my life, and guess what? Like I said, you get what you get.
Yeah.
I used to use sex as a weapon. I used to use it as a tool or a way to get what I wanted. And when I say that, I'm saying in the way of well, if you don't give me my acts of service,
Mhm.
don't you talk to me about sex because we're not doing that. No.
Mhm.
So then you have, but then that's also manipulation.
Mhm. Mhm. To
And
get what you want.
yep, to get what you want. And you may not have thought it was a manipulation because that's just how people are sometimes. And sometimes we are all learning. We're learning different ways, learning different experience from different walks of life. What's really going on? You're
Mhm.
healing, you're growing, you're trying to get better. So then, once I realized that, I was embarrassed
Yeah.
of myself that I took something that was supposed to be loving and for my husband, and not just for my husband, but just loving and just a part of show each other that we care, and I used it as manipulation.
Yeah.
Wow. So how to love a human? I think that's a daily thing.
Mhm.
It can
It's a daily
be
commitment for sure.
it is. It can be a good morning text. It
Mhm.
can be um even with those affirmations, just like you said, I'm proud of you.
Mhm.
I'm proud of what you did. Um, and sometimes I think that, kids sometimes, even shifting this situation of kids sometimes act out because every time they do something, they get the negative and they feel like they got attention. But guess what? I'm gonna get you when you acting out. I'm gonna let you know, hey, this is not gonna work. However, I want to go 10 times harder when you're acting good. I want to go
Mhm.
10 times harder when you've met that goal.
Mhm.
So again, it's I think it's teaching them, okay, yes, or even yes, you didn't do good last time, but baby, you rocked that thing out.
Out
You
this
did
time,
you did
yeah.
that. Yeah, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the man you're becoming, the woman you're becoming. Did
Mhm.
you wake up on your own and make sure that you had everything done and I overslept, but you were already ready and prepared? Wow,
Mhm.
you're really growing. So I
Mhm.
think it's important to say that we sometimes take negative things that we don't even realize is negative and try to make them and use them for our advantage. And I
Mhm.
was definitely using it. And I will say, my husband, my poor husband, oh my poor husband. I learned some behaviors that weren't healthy. Healthy of, okay, well, if he says no, then I cry. Okay,
Yeah.
so if he says no, I'm gonna cry and I'm gonna get my way or try to get my way with whatever it is. Okay, that's first of all a childish mentality. Let's start off by saying
Mhm.
that. But it was the way that I thought that was gonna that for a while it worked for me because obviously I kept crying. But
Mhm.
the moment that I was called out on my bullcrap, I stopped. So I can't even remember what year it was. We've been married for 19 years. I don't know
Oh
what year
wow.
it was.
Good.
Yeah, 19 years, 20 years in June.
I
Wow.
know that's right.
But
Congratulations.
thank you so much. But thinking about that part of it, when he said, in the nicest, nasty way, I ain't gonna say he was, those tears don't affect me.
Mm.
Just sit in that for a minute.
Mhm. Mhm.
So now I gotta change my game and figure out another way to get to you.
Or stop. Or stop.
Or stop.
Or
And that's
stop.
what you have to do. Be like, okay, well that didn't work, so now we're gonna have to mature and figure out other ways to
Mhm.
to cope and to figure out how to show each other that you care and show that you love each other. Show your children that, okay, it's not just the negative that you're gonna get attention, but the positive. And I was thinking about something just now about like child rearing. Everybody takes care of their children differently. Some gentle parents, some yell. I was really good at yelling for a while. Now I can't say that I stopped yelling, but I will say that I tried to calm down on that because I lost my voice, and I was like, why am I always hoarse? I can't figure it out. It's because I'm yelling. Why
Mhm.
aren't they listening? Because they're used to the yelling.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
desensitized. It just happens. So, what I was thinking about, let me get back to it because it was going to be really good. Um, yeah, yeah, yelling and all the things you learn those things, but it might not just be the way. I don't know where I was going, but it was gonna be good.
Yeah.
However,
We'll do another podcast
we'll
about
do,
it.
we'll do another podcast. But with that being said, this has been a great experience. This will not be the last time. You never know. We might have to tag team somebody one time.
Yeah.
And I love to do like a panel or ask the questions that people are afraid to ask. Or I am really open. This podcast, I want to make sure it's clear. I am not in a box. I'm not in a box. I am me. Again, I'm human. I'm gonna say what I want to say. Like it, love it. I'm not apologizing for it. So, with that being said, this has been an amazing, amazing podcast, and I appreciate you coming out, or coming to the virtual
Locking
space.
it in.
Yeah, and having these conversations, because I think they're very important to have. They're very eye opening and awakening, and just going back and listening to yourself and listening to someone else. We are having a conversation and we are digesting. However, going back and they're listening, y'all hear that word listening. Definitely make sure you go to Spotify, YouTube. If you
Yeah.
need iHeartRadio, we got that. If you need Apple, we got that for you too. But definitely, I think that listening is important. And if I could take away one thing from this, I would say all of these things is about listening. To love right, you got to listen. To understand people's differences, you've got to listen. Um, to parent differently or to do anything, it's important to listen. Listen to what your children are saying. Listen to them. Don't just bypass them and child say, I'm the mother, you're the child. I'm the father, you're the child. Listen to them, because guess what? You can learn from your children too. You've got to learn to listen and really take what they're saying face value, because there may be something bigger. So again, this was great. And do you have anything you like last words or last things you like to say before we end?
Just grateful for the opportunity. I think that what you said was perfect. Listen, advocate, be a part of the change, and love somebody out loud.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, this was powerful, and if it challenged you, encouraged you, or made you think of something different, well, that was on purpose. Remember, growth doesn't happen by accident. The mindset, the discipline, the decisions matter. In this episode, if this episode resonates with you, make sure that you follow, subscribe, share with someone who needs it. Until next time, stay grounded, stay intentional, and always, always live on purpose. Bye.